strategically for our collective best interest, we aren't going to see any meaningful change in this country in our lifetime. Let me get the brother and then the sister.
Yes, I just said basically about the African way for us to make the first move. My opinion, I think they're going to have a long wait. Because just like you said, we don't, a lot of us that aren't conscious don't want to become conscious or know what's going on. Because it's easier to be a slave and comfortable than be out in the street and cold. So the thing, what I'm saying is, I feel like the African Union is great and they're waiting for us, because we have the they're motivated by us. But that's a long wait, because what I've seen, a lot of them do not want to come out of that mentality of slavery.
All right. I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think there's another option that we need to look at. And that is, if we're honest with ourselves, the changes that have happened in the course of history that have affected the majority of people in history were initiated by a small handful of folk.
I don't see that even for you.
No, listen to me now. And there are always circumstances beyond our control that set other things in motion. Now, if we're honest with ourselves, regardless as to what the teabaggers and the other right-wingers say, global warming is real. And we, collective we, have so screwed up the environment that I guarantee you we're going to see some profound changes in the environment within the next 10 years that's going to force us to start doing things differently. You're going to have hotter summers. The price of oil is going to skyrocket. We're going to be forced to make some changes, and not everybody is going to be able to make those changes, right? And so what history shows us, one of the beautiful reasons of studying history is that history shows you what has happened in the world over time, regardless as to whether or not people were ready for what is going to happen. And so given where we are, we can expect within the next 10 years, we can expect to see wholesale deaths of people in this country. We can expect to see that, either from disease or man-made catastrophes or natural catastrophes. You look at what happened in Japan yesterday, right? A lot of that can be attributed to the change in weather patterns that were brought about by us not respecting this planet. And so the earth is going to protect itself, and if it means destroying us to protect itself, that's going to happen. I want you to also note the spate of movies that have come out over the last couple of years. I Am Legend, The Road, The Book of Eli. These movies with these things, they have one common thing. Some disaster, which they never describe, but some disaster wiped out a substantial portion of the population. And you see people trying to make it. Now, these movies don't just happen by happenstance. Part of the reasons why you see certain themes in movies is people preparing you for what is coming down the pipe. And my advice is that people need to begin to start preparing themselves for disasters. And nobody wants to think about that, but the reality is, given where things are, something is going to happen. And if you believe in karma, if you believe in Ma'at, if you believe in reciprocity, then whatever it is that's going to happen is going to happen and continue happening for a long time. History is always written by the survivors of catastrophes. Always written by the survivors of catastrophes. And the survivors are usually a small handful of people who were in tune to what was happening. They're in tune to God, the Creator, whatever term you want to use, in tune to nature. And so they were in the right place at the right time to be spared. And they knew how to survive the difficult times in order for humanity to replenish itself. You see that pattern happening over and over again throughout history. So why are things going to be different on our watch just because we're here? Please, we're not that important. We really aren't that important in the overall scheme of things. So if you want to look at making a contribution to humanity, look at what you can do to make this world a better place. How can we stop consuming less? If there were, just think about this, for example, if there was a disaster that was either brought on by an earthquake or a tornado or a storm, and crops were wiped out. You know, a large percentage, over 40% of our food comes from California. Now that doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to rely on the West Coast, which is in danger of being destroyed by an earthquake. You know, they're predicting the big one is coming. They don't know when, but they know it's coming. So why would you depend on a region of the country that may probably be destroyed to supply you with food? Why aren't you developing other areas of the country where you could get food? So let's just say hypothetically, if a major supplier of food is no longer available, where are you going to get your food? How many of you all know how to grow food? How many of you all have space to grow food? How many of you all can survive on, what, a meal every 2 days? If gasoline is no longer available, how many of you all can walk 10 miles to get to food? I mean, these are things that we need to start thinking about. What are you doing now to prepare yourself for the bad times? And if the bad times never come, then at least you're in good physical shape. You know, and that's a good thing. But it's about being prepared. It's about being prepared. And the idea of being prepared frightens a lot of people. But you have to get over your fear. You have to get over your fear. You conquer your fear through knowledge. You conquer your fear through preparation. Right? And as Dick Gregory says, fear is the absence of God. Sister, you had a question?
Yeah, you conquer your fear through love and service. But the question I had was, I didn't get, because I just didn't hear it, I just couldn't get it, what the Chinese brothers think is, you know, they were asking about how he prepared the masses for revolution.
Oh, sure.
I just couldn't get it. And then I also want to ask you, after you answer that, sometimes we show what we think are positive images in the African community, and they turn out to be some of the most destructive people to our people. So sometimes those so-called positive images, again, the brother was talking about that in the clip, they're not serving this either. But I want to hear what he was saying.
Sure. Well, what Mr. Yet was talking about was the writer said that to help transform the consciousness of people, to show the distinctions between the oppressor and the oppressed, then you never show the oppressed people in an unfavorable light. You never. The oppressed people are clothed, like, what was that line that Stevie Wonder, living for the people, living for the city? My clothes are old, but never are they dirty. All right? I may not have everything, but at least I carry myself as if I have everything inside of me. Right? So that's the difference. And with regards to positive images, you got to look at the source. You got to look at the source. Everybody was so happy years ago when Bob Johnson started BET. And last year, Mr. Johnson's former wife said in a piece in, it's either Newsweek or Time magazine, that when her grandchildren come to her house, she does not allow them to watch BET. She says that she is ashamed of what they have created. So discretion is the issue. Discretion is the key. Not all black folk have the best interests of black folk at heart. And you have to ask yourself, you know, when you look at something, when you listen to somebody, I guess a good rule of thumb, and I used to do this with a lot of young folk. I do a lot of training with college students every summer down at the Alex Haley Farm. And of course, young folk are always walking around with their iPods listening to music. So what I do, I walk up to them and say, "What are you listening to?" I say, let me listen to what you. Oh no, you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear it. Then why are you listening to it? You know, and I just have a conversation. Why are you? If you don't want me to listen to it, then why are you listening to it? How would your grandmother feel if she heard you listening to that? You know, I just make it real personal to them, and they like the brother stuff. You know, how my grandmother feel, and he knows what his grandmother would say if she knew that he was listening to that pornography. So I'm not telling them not to listen to it, but I'm just asking them to think about what you're listening to. Think about what you're putting into your body, what you're putting into your mind. Because whatever comes into your body stays with you. You are, you know the expression, you are what you eat? Well, you are what you see. You are what you listen to. You are what you think. You are who you associate with. All of these things affect you on a cellular level. They change your DNA. So if you know that, and if you truly value, this vessel that the Creator inhabits, then you would not subject this vessel, this precious thing, to anything. And if we love our children, we would be very careful about what we allow them to listen to and what we allow them to see, if we love them. Because it's not just a movie. It's not just a video. Because no other people allow their children to ingest that poison to the extent to which we do. Anybody else? Any question? Let me get somebody over here, and then I'll come back to you.
Yeah, I was listening to you earlier, and I agree with just about everything you're saying, especially in terms of planting ideas in people's minds, positive ideas in terms of United Africa, Kingdom, and so forth. And the question I have for you is, especially with Africa and their plans with us, and how we're basically to close the deal for them, is, are they part of or against the, you alluded to it so many times, these small group of individuals that are ruling the world? Are they going to be a de jure state or a de facto state? And I'm really curious about that in terms of, refer to it again, the jackals and so forth. I want to know if they're part of they're going to be organic.
It remains to be seen. There are many options on the table. If you consider this right now, Japanese, Chinese, the Asians, and of course the Europeans are dug deep into Africa. Japanese and Chinese are everywhere. They're building roads, they're building dams, they're building farms. They're there helping lift these African men, women, and children out of poverty. They see them helping them. They don't see us there. So if I was in dire straits and I saw someone who was not of my community coming to help me and they were making my life better, then I would go with them simply because they're making my life better. I may not know what plans they have for me down the road, but at the moment, this is my best option to make a life for myself and my family. I'm going to go with that. We have better knowledge of how these nefarious organizations work. We have more knowledge about that than they do. So why aren't we more involved in helping them determine their destiny? Some of the brightest